day and welcome to Alena Media TV. We are broadcasting from Toronto, Canada. I am Elsa Abraham, and in this episode we are bringing you African news. Here is your headlines. Massacre of 750 reported in Aksum church complex, Tigray, Ethiopia. Sudanese delegation in Cairo to discuss border disputes with Ethiopia. And the last one, mysterious Ethiopian wheat deals complicate fight against hunger. Let's go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll get our news in details. Welcome back from that short break. Now, reports of a massacre of 750 people in the cathedral complex that repeatedly houses the Ark of the Covenant have emerged from the Tigray region of Ethiopia. Accounts have come from those who fled the town of Aksum and walked more than 200 kilometers to the regional capital, Mekelle. The massacre was first reported in dispatches from the Belgium-based NGO European External Programme with Africa, EEPA. The area is sealed off to journalists, but many reports of the massacre have nevertheless emerged, some of which have been documented by Amnesty International. The former BBC World Service Africa editor and senior research fellow at the Institute of Commonwealth Studies, Martin Plot, said that those who escaped the Aksum massacre had reported that the attack began after Ethiopian federal troops and Amhara militia approached the Church of St. Mary of Zion. Up to 1,000 people were believed to be sheltered in the church complex. One of the chapels, the Chapel of the Tablet, is believed by Ethiopian Christians to contain the Ark of the Covenant, which is hidden from the view of everyone, apart from a single priest who never leaves the compound. Mr. Plot said people were worried about the safety of the Ark, and when they heard troops were approaching, feared they had come to steal it. All those inside the cathedral were forced out into the square. The EEPA's latest dispatch on the situation in Tigray on Tuesday reports that 750 people were shot in Aksum. Although this has not been verified, it says that the massacre was carried out by Ethiopian federal troops and Amhara militia. The church is not thought to have been damaged, and Mr. Plot said that the Ark is likely to have been hidden before troops arrived. Although it has not been possible to confirm this, the Ark is believed by Ethiopian Orthodox Christians to have been hidden in Aksum by Menelik, the son of King Solomon of Israel. The kingdom of Aksum was one of the four great powers of the ancient world, and the town of Aksum is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Fighting broke out in Tigray in November after the Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed sent federal troops supported by militia and troops from Eritrea to fight the Tigray People's Liberation Front, which he accused of holding illegitimate elections. News by 20th November 2020. The TPLF was part of the governing coalition of Ethiopia until 2019. The government declared that the conflict was over after it captured Mekelle in late November, but the TPLF continues to fight a guerrilla war. The Ethiopian government has admitted shelling an ancient mosque in Tigray and has promised to repair it. The Al-Negashi Mosque in northern Tigray was hit by shells, and its dome, minaret, and ancient tombs repeatedly of 15 disciples of the Prophet Muhammad were damaged. A church nearby was also damaged in the attack, and the government has pledged that it will also repair it. EEPA reported that after the shelling, the mosque has been looted by Ethiopian and Eritrean troops, and that some civilians had died trying to protect it. Humanitarian aid has been unable to get to the region despite pleas from the United Nations, which estimates that 2.3 million children have been cut off from food and aid. More than 1 million people have been displaced by the fighting, and more than 50,000 had fled into Sudan. There are also concerns for safety of many Eritrean refugees in camps in Tigray. Moving on to our second story for today, Sudanese delegation in Cairo to discuss border disputes with Ethiopia. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received Thursday a Sudanese delegation in Cairo to discuss the recent border tensions between Khartoum and Addis Ababa, in addition to the latest regional developments, especially the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, the JERD. Sisi held talks with members of the Transitional Sovereignty Council, the TSC, Lieutenant General Shamsuddin Kabashi, and his accompanying delegation, including Sudanese Minister of Culture and Information, Faisal Mohammed Saleh, Chief of General Intelligence Gamal Abdel Megud, and Secretary General of the Council, Mohammed Youssef. The talks tackled the latest developments concerning the mounting tensions between Ethiopia and Sudan over the disputed eastern border region of Al-Fashqa. Sisi said that Egypt is looking forward to continuing operations and coordinating with Sudan in various areas, given the long-standing ties and common interest between the two countries. For his part, Kabashi stressed the distinguished and historical relations binding between Cairo and Khartoum, hailing Egypt's sustained support for Sudan during the current transitional period. The delegation also discussed with Sisi the JERD issue and the necessity of coordinating efforts and stances to achieve the interest of both countries. The visit comes after border tensions between the two countries escalated during the conflict in the Tigray region. Ethiopian forces and militia attacked Sudanese forces inside their territory, killing 3 individuals and a high-ranking officer. The Sudanese army redeployed within its territory and regained control over more than 80% of the areas that had been witnessing an Ethiopian presence for many years. The negotiations to demarcate the border between Sudan and Ethiopia last December failed to reach an agreement. After arriving in Khartoum on Thursday, Saleh said the delegation briefed Sisi on the recent developments on the Sudanese-Ethiopian borders, pointing out that the visit is a part of an integrated program for visiting the neighboring and sisterly countries to brief them on the reality of development on the situation in the region. He also said it comes as part of the political and diplomatic efforts being exerted by the government to inform the leaders and the government on Sudan's position concerning the situation on the Sudanese-Ethiopian borders. Mysterious Ethiopian wheat deals complicate fight against hunger. That's our last story for today. Back in November, Ethiopia unveiled 2 deals to buy deeply discounted wheat from suppliers that seasoned traders had never heard of. A website named for one of the companies listed in German address that didn't exist and appeared to use stock photos of models. 2 months on, it remains a mystery who was behind the deals or what their motivation was. Especially as Ethiopia says it hasn't lost any money. One thing is clear though, no wheat has been delivered. The government has now cancelled the tenders and plans to start over. It is an embarrassing blunder that could have ramifications for a country in a desperate need of food. Ethiopia relies on more than 1 million tons of wheat imports a year to feed its people. The 2 cancelled tenders represented 600 tons of global wheat prices have risen since the deals were initially awarded, meaning it will probably have to pay more now. Ethiopia's grain tender process has for years been dogged by cancellations and corruption allegations, as well as putting strain on much-needed foreign exchange reserves. The nation had already postponed or cancelled tenders over the course of last year. That's especially a problem for a country where some 11 million people were seen in need of food aid by the end of last year. Ethiopia's farming industry last year suffered from the worst desert locust infestations in decades, as well as COVID-19 pandemic. At the same time, conflict in parts of the country displaced tens and thousands of people, adding to the widespread food shortages. There is no doubt that there is a major food security crisis, said Ted George, founder of Close Advisory, a UK-based advisor on African markets. Ethiopia has lost a number of tenders beforehand. It may have been that they have had difficulties finding more established, more respected traders to provide it. A spokesperson for the Ministry of Finance this week said that while the 2 tenders were cancelled, the nation has been able to meet its needs through other purchases and domestic supply, though couldn't comment further. Major grain merchants have largely shunned Ethiopia's tenders due to unfavorable terms, such as requiring offers to be valid for 30 days, exposing traders to losses should prices change. However, there are a handful of smaller suppliers that regularly participate in the tenders. The 2 tenders awarded in November were for the purchase of 400,000 tons from Recentata Global Food Trading and 200,000 tons from Martina Mertens at a combined value of about 117 million US dollars. However, the companies were unknown to 9 experienced international grain traders surveyed by the media. The Public Procurement and Property Disposal Service this month said it cancelled the tenders because the companies didn't follow through the deals and plans to reissue them. This is where we end today's episode on African News. Please like, share, comment. Let us know your thoughts on this particular episode. Make sure you hit the notification button after subscribing so you'll be notified anytime we make a post. Thanks for watching.